Hello and welcome. Let's get started with this course. In this video, I would like to give you very basic background information about cloud computing. So let's start with the question, what is cloud computing? Well, cloud computing, or just the cloud, is a provision of on-demand IT resources over the internet with pay-as-you-go pricing. And these IT resources can be servers, databases, storage, software, etc., and they are provided to you over the internet with pay-as-you-go pricing. And this pay-as-you-go pricing is also known as a metered payment model. All right. So to understand this cloud computing better, let's explore it with an example. Let's assume you want to launch your website for your e-commerce business project. In other words, you want to sell some products on the internet. And let's consider three different options of hosting your web application for your business project. In other words, you have a web application and now you're considering these three options of hosting. All right. So now let's consider the first one, and the first one is on-premises or in-house deployment. And this in-house deployment can be your home, office, or you may rent a place and put your server in there. In this first option, you buy your own server and software. That means you have complete control over your infrastructure. In other words, you have access to the physical layer, which is hardware, but also all responsibility is on you. For instance, you need to make sure there is no electricity outage or the hardware in your server like central processing unit, storage, random access memory, etc. are running smoothly. And with this option, you get fixed server capacity. That means, for instance, if you buy storage capacity for 10 gigabytes, then you get storage capacity for 10 gigabytes. And if you want 20 gigabytes of storage capacity, then you need to replace your current one with 20 gigabytes of storage capacity. Or you just plug in another 10 gigabytes of storage capacity. So they work together to make 20 gigabytes of storage capacity. All right. And in here, you have upfront capital costs for your infrastructure. So that means it requires some upfront investment in hardware and software. In other words, you need to buy hardware and software. All right. So now let's consider a second option. And the second option is to rent a dedicated server. In this option, you need to rent a server from a service provider. So that means you rent a virtual server, not a physical server. All right. In other words, you don't go to the service provider and ask them for a physical server. Instead, they provide you with a virtual server. All right. And operating system in this option is usually provided. And if it's Linux, then it's usually free, and they don't charge a service for this for Linux operating system. But if it is Windows, then they usually charge you. So that means if it's Windows server, then you should pay for the operating system. All right. So regarding control and responsibilities, definitely here you have less control in comparison to the first option, because here you don't have access to the physical layer, in other words, to the hardware. But the good thing is you have fewer responsibilities. So for instance, you don't need to think about electricity outage or whether the hardware in your server is running or not, etc. And again, here you get fixed server capacity. All right. So that means if you sign a contract for 20 gigabytes of server storage capacity, then you get 20 gigabytes. So if you want more, then you need to cancel that contract first, and then you need to sign a new contract for that increased storage capacity. All right. So next, here in the second option, you have lower upfront capital costs compared to the first one, because in the second option, you don't buy server. Instead, here, you just rent a server. All right. but you have to pay for the fixed capacity. So that means you have to pay for the server even if you are not using it. So whether you are using the server or not, you have to pay for that fixed capacity. All right. So now let's consider the third option, which is renting a server, or in other words, on-demand server from a cloud provider. All right. And the most important part in this option is its on-demand feature. So which means this on-demand server can give you flexibility, and also it can give you resizable server. So since it's flexible and resizable, since that server is flexible and resizable, it can change its hardware characteristics based on a workload. So for instance, you can start off with a very basic server, and if there is lots of traffic to your website, then it can automatically increase capacity of your server. And then at some point, if the traffic is low, it will automatically decrease the capacity of your server. All right. So that's why it gives you really good flexibility, and also it gives you really good resizable server. All right. So regarding control and responsibilities, definitely here you have less control compared to the first one, because here in the third option you don't have access to the hardware. But again, you have fewer responsibilities. All right. So then another advantage of this cloud computing, or third option, is pay as you go, or metered payment model. So which means they charge you only for what you have used. So like in utility bills, so you pay only for what you use. All right. So therefore this cloud computing option is really good, especially in some cases, such as if you don't know how successful your project will be, or you are a startup company and you don't know or you don't want that much upfront costs for infrastructure. In these cases, investing heavily in a server doesn't make sense, right? So to sum up, in the first option, you have lots of upfront capital costs because you have to buy a server. And here you get fixed server capacity, all right? And in the second option, you have lower upfront costs, but still you need to rent a dedicated server, and you don't know whether that provided server capacity is enough in your case or not, because it gives you fixed server capacity, all right? So now in the third option, in the cloud computing option, you rent an on-demand server, which is very flexible and resizable, and they offer you pay-as-you-go model. In other words, you pay only for what you use. All right. So thank you very much, and I will see you in the next video.